What is up, YouTube? Today in this video, I'm going to talk about how I consistently make a 300% cash on cash return. Most people, they would love to make a 10% cash on cash return. I'm consistently making a 300% cash on cash return or more. So in this video, I'm going to show you guys exactly how I do it. I'm going to break it down on the whiteboard so you guys can do it as well. Now, if you get value, make sure to subscribe to the channel if you're not subscribed already. Hit the bell so you get notified when I put out these videos, and put your comments in the comment section. I'll make sure to get back to all of the comments and answer all your guys' questions. So let's jump into it. Let's go. All right, guys. So the most important part about how I make that big of a return on a consistent basis is where my money goes first. All right. So all of my money, I put it into my very own banking system. And this is nothing more than a specifically designed whole life insurance policy that's got high cash value. Okay, so it's got to be designed that way. Otherwise, it's just your regular off-the-shelf whole life, and it wouldn't work for this because the way those are designed is for the death benefit. What I'm talking about is designed for the cash value. So having the living benefits of life insurance. And what are those living benefits? Well, the living benefits are guaranteed growth. Okay, so every dollar that goes into my very own banking system gives guaranteed compound interest. It'll never stop growing, guaranteed, contractually. That growth is actually tax-free, zero taxes. So everything that happens inside of my specifically designed whole life insurance policy, or infinite banking, a lot of people call it that, it's growing tax-free. There's no taxation. So Uncle Sam does not get his greedy little hands on my marching soldiers. That's what I view money as little marching soldiers. I send them out to go make more soldier babies, and then they come back and I've got more little marching soldiers. So Uncle Sam doesn't get his hands on this because it is a tax-free environment. It actually predates the tax code. So the first policies came around in the 1700s. Tax code did not come about until 1913. So the living benefits, again, are guaranteed compound interest. That growth, that compound interest grows tax-free. Zero taxes, okay? This is also protected against lawsuits and judgments. So what that means is if I've got all kinds of money sitting inside my policy, it can't be taken on a judgment or lawsuit. If someone tries to take this money, they can't get to it. It's a private contract between me and the insurance company. So my money goes there first. That's the most important part, is that it goes here first, that it gets these benefits. And then what I do is I use one of the living benefits, which is a policy loan. Okay, so I can actually borrow against my money. Think of it as like a house. When you have a house, your house is collateral to get a loan from the bank. The bigger and better the house, the more of a loan you can get from the bank, equity line of credit and things like that. So view it the same way. The more I put into my policy, the more I can use on a loan, the bigger the collateral to get the loan. So all I do is I borrow against my money so I don't interrupt the compound growth. It's still growing because I'm not taking it out of the policy. I'm borrowing against it. All right. So all I do is I take a loan against my policy and I put it into a private loan. Okay. So I become a private lender. I lend to individuals that are looking for fast money, real estate investors. So real estate moves very, very quickly. Because of that, investors will use private loans. So that's you, me, your neighbor, a doctor, a lawyer, anyone who has extra money, you can lend it as a private lender. So real estate investors will use private money, private lenders. They'll also use hard money. Basically, the difference between those two things is hard money is like a company that gives loans based on the asset. They don't pull credit and do all those things like a normal bank does. They just lend strictly on the asset. A private lender like myself, same thing. They lend on the asset, and it's just an individual, okay? So what I'm doing, guys, is I'm first putting my money into my policy to get all these living benefits. Then I'm taking a loan against my money to put it into a private money deal. In this deal, I make 15% interest. Now, I get this time in and time out. I've got almost $2 million lent out at 15% interest. So think about that. I'm getting 15% interest on my money. I'm also getting the guaranteed compound interest inside the policy with guarantees and dividends. So these insurance companies, the way they work is if they're mutually owned, which all of my policies are mutually owned companies, when they're profitable, they share those profits with you as a policyholder in the form of a dividend. That dividend can go toward your cash value. So what happens is you get your guaranteed growth tax-free, plus you get the dividend tax-free, which gives you more cash value, more that you can use tax-free. It's amazing. So with dividends and guaranteed growth, you're generally sitting at around 5 to 6% growth inside of a policy. Okay? Let's just take the lower of the two, 5%. So I'm making 5% in the policy, plus I'm making 15% outside the policy. Okay? So I've got a 20% return altogether, right? 5% in the policy, 15% outside the policy. Super simple. I'm making 20%. I know at the beginning I said I'm making a 300% cash on cash return. So you guys are thinking probably, wait, he said 300. This is only 20. What gives? Here's what it is, guys. Think about this. If I'm borrowing against this money, that's how I can continue to get the guaranteed growth and all those benefits. I can still get this because I'm not removing this money. I'm taking a loan against it. The insurance company charges an interest rate. They charge simple interest. It's generally right around 5%. So think about what I've done. My money is not being used. It's sitting inside the policy, compounding and growing. I'm borrowing the insurance company's money. So I'm using their money in the form of a loan, and the only real money I have involved in the deal is this 5%. This is called control cost. I'm controlling their money to lend it out at 5% interest, just like banks do. Banks control your money by paying you interest. They pay you 0.06% on average to control your money. Now they lend it out to other people. It's the same thing. I'm controlling the insurance company's money for 5%, while my money is compounding at 5 to 6. So what's happening is I'm making 20%, right? But it only costs me 5% to do. So I'm turning 5% into 20%, okay? So if you take that into account, that means that 5% into 20, there's 5% off the top because it took me 5%, right? So my net gain is a 15% return from 5. I turned 5 into 15 net. That is a 300% cash on cash return all day long. And the cool part about it is, as soon as I get these returns from this private money loan, the 15%, I simply take it and I pay it back into my policy. So what that does is that actually lowers the balance of the loan in my policy. It's simple interest. So as I lower the balance, that means I lower the amount of accruing interest. Therefore, I'm actually lowering the overall interest, the effective rate. The effective rate ends up being less than 5%. So I end up making more than what I'm illustrating here. And this is just being very conservative to keep it simple. So guys, hopefully that makes sense. It's a very easy process. I could simply just take my money and lend it out, right? I could just lend my money out at 15%, but then I'm just making 15% by simply changing where the money goes first, by putting it in my policy first. I'm now making what the policy earns me plus the 15% on the private loan. And all it does is it costs me the control cost. So that's how I can turn a 15% return. Normally, that's what most people do. They take their money and they lend it out privately. I'm turning that 15% normal return that everyone else has into a 300% cash on cash return by simply changing where the money goes first. That's it. Very simple. And by the way, I still get all the benefits of protection against lawsuits and judgments. Someone tries to sue me, they can't take the money. It's protected inside of my policy. I'm getting tax-free growth. So greedy old Uncle Sam doesn't have his money or his hands on my growth inside my policy. I'm getting guaranteed growth. So the money never loses its opportunity cost. Oh, and by the way, I am guaranteed one day to pass away. It is guaranteed to happen. I am going to pass away at some point. When that happens, the more money I flowed throughout my life to my policies, the bigger my death benefit. So when I pass away, which is inevitable, my family will get a bigger tax-free death benefit upon my passing. So guys, hopefully that makes sense, and let's wrap it up. So there you have it, guys. That is how I make a 300% cash on cash return all day long. If you guys have questions, which I'm sure you do, make sure to throw them into the comments section, and I will make sure to get back to all of them. If you guys want to learn more on this concept of infinite banking and how you can personally do it as well, check out the link in the description. You can register for a free training video, watch the entire video. It'll answer probably most of all your questions about the whole concept. If it does not, at the end, you can schedule a call with someone on my team. We'll answer all your questions, and if you'd like, we can help you get a policy set up. So it's been a pleasure. Until next time, I love you guys. Peace.